In the wintertime, our bird friends might be running out of a little bit of food. So we're gonna do a DIY craft that will be some nice nourishment for them when there's maybe not quite so much out in the garden. You just need a few ingredients, and we're gonna start out with some gelatin, some unflavored gelatin. You're gonna add a whole packet of that to a bowl. And in addition to that, we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of water mixed in with that. We're going to stir that up just a little bit to kind of get that dissolved in with that water. But what really activates that gelatin is the 1/3 cup of hot water that we're going to add to it. And this is boiling water. We just boiled this in the microwave, so you don't require too much. And you want to make sure that gelatin is nice and mixed in there. And just like gelatin does in Jell-O, it'll eventually kind of set up a little bit more. And once we have it all dissolved in, we're going to add 2 cups of birdseed to this. And this is just that loose birdseed. It's kind of a mix of different seeds for them. And then we're going to make sure that that gelatin gets nice and covers all of that birdseed. So the next thing you're going to need is some old cookie cutters. We've got an acorn here in a little flower shape, or you could use a muffin pan, but the cookie cutter shapes are kind of fun if you have kids. And we just want to make sure that those are nice and sprayed with some vegetable oil or some sort of grease, cooking grease, so that it doesn't stick to the cookie cutter. Once we've got those sprayed, we're then going to fill them up with our birdseed mixture. And you're just going to kind of pack that down. You can either use your hands if you want, or use a spoon to do that. It's all natural ingredients, so it's not any big deal. And after we've done that, we want to put a placeholder in there for our ribbon so that we could tie these straight to a tree. So you can either use a bamboo skewer or something like that. This is an old chopstick, and we're just going to leave that in there actually. Or you could use a straw. So here we've cut just a couple of straws pieces. Now the big thing you want to do is make sure that you push that more towards the center than at the very top. If we put it way up here, then it kind of doesn't give much space that it might break off. That ribbon might break out of that cake when we hang it in a tree. After we've got this done, it's as simple as putting it in the fridge for a couple of hours to let those set up, and then we'll be able to pull those out. So here we've got a couple that have already set up, and you can see how firm they are. And these should just slide right out of those cookie cutters because of the vegetable oil. And you can see our hole is in there. And the same for this little gingerbread man. Now if your straw does get filled, you can go ahead and kind of poke some of that out with a stick or something like that. And you can see it still gives us that hole. Now, you could use raffia or twine. We've got some ribbon here to kind of make it a little more colorful. And so you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of ribbon, depending on how big your branch is. And important thing is to make sure you do pop it out of the cookie cutter before you tie the ribbon through it, because we don't want to tie the cookie cutter to the tree. And you would just go and then tie this up and hang it in your tree. And so you've got a nice little gingerbread man. Now sometimes the cookie cutters, depending on what they are, you can see our little legs starting to fall off there. If you have some that do break a little bit, don't feel like you have to throw these away. If you have a suet bird feeder, such as this here, then just take those scraps or anything that breaks off and go ahead and stick those in there. So if you lose your hole or it breaks through, just add these into your suet feeder and they still will work great for feeding the birds. Another thing that you can use instead of gelatin is you can also just get a container of lard, and this is still sold at grocery stores, and it will work just like the other binding agent of gelatin to bind together that birdseed. I know a lot of times we might have used peanut butter, but if you're working with kids, there's so many kids with peanut butter allergies, and so either one of these are great substitutes for that. This is a great activity to do with your kids, either over spring break, or if you have a gift you want to give to somebody, this is a great garden gift as well, and a much cheaper way to do it. Plus, it's homemade and from the heart.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.